What's going on, everybody? Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. We got a special today. We still gonna finish up on the Ghana reparations. After this, I should have one video left. If not, we'll see. But we're coming towards the end. Right now we are gonna react to 3 speakers and 1 spoken word. Tonight is ladies' night. Yeah, so tonight, ladies' night, the first lady talking is from the UK, but the other 2 are from the Caribbeans. So yeah, let's go ahead and react to this.
Parliamentary Group for African Reparations, Her Excellency Belle Ribeiro Addy, MP.
Good afternoon, Your Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana, our gracious host, Your Excellency Azali Assoumani, President of the Union of Comoros and the AU Chairperson, Your Excellencies, Heads of State, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm proud to chair the All-Party Parliamentary Group for African Reparations in the Parliament of the United Kingdom. We are 14 members of Parliament from all political parties calling for policy on reparations in a country commonly known as the Mother of Empire. We say that reparative justice cannot be financial alone, so we work across 3 different strands. We insist that there must be a form of community reparations, and that begins with an apology, recognising that peoples of African descent are equals. That goes to look at things such as environmental reparations, health reparations, educational reparations, and we look also to restitution of artifacts and archives, because we believe that finders keepers has never been a plausible argument, and that theft is theft, and that reparations should begin with the return of the loot of empire. We also look at the decolonisation of aid and international structures, because we see some of these as a form of neo-colonialism. Many of our aid organisations now are private bodies, and the fact of the matter is, unless they are working quite specifically to end dependency on aid, they are simply part of the problem, because the aid sector has become a sector, just that. And the reality is that with all sectors, thank you. And the reality is that with all sectors, they require supply and demand. And that means keeping people in Africa and the Caribbean subject and continually in poverty. And it's no small feat that we all meet here 30 years after the Abuja Declaration, a Pan-Africanist conference that accepted our common struggle as peoples of African descent. And it's important that we continue to stand in that unity. It is important that we dispel the lies that as people, we should be pleased with the progress that we have made. You hear various things called towards the fact that we once had a black American president, and that we should be pleased because we have more black billionaires. Yet
Wait. She talking fast. Now, Obama is not a black American. 1. 2, it's interesting because I believe Pan-Africanism started over there in Britain by a Caribbean, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, she talking fast, trying to, slide in her little words or whatever. But I'm catching on, I ain't feeling it at all. But let's go ahead and finish up.
Across the world, people that look like us continue to starve and suffer, and this is not by accident, but by design. All of our oppressions are a direct result of these historical injustices, and we need to accept the fact that we are not free until we are all free. Now, I'm here because...
Now, you wait a minute now. See how she be slipping that up? Who started it? Okay.
My country has a moral duty to make amends for the trafficking, enslavement, and colonization and continued exploitation and degradation of peoples of African descent. whilst we could never fully recompense for the harm that is done, if we do not start to make amends, we are simply continuing one of the greatest crimes in human history. Now, we are often told that slavery was 400 years ago, so why are we continuing to speak about it today and continuing to berate people for it today? But we have to remember that this is not when slavery ended. And when slavery ended, the whips and the metal shackles were replaced with other constraints. They were replaced with colonialism, neocolonialism, a UN Security Council which continuously ignores the views of other African nations, crippling debts, IMF, punitive and exploitative trade, the continued theft and disregard, institutional racism and poverty. I could go on. And when I call for reparations, I'm often asked to be grateful that my country, Britain, ended the slave trade. But what many people do not know is that in order to end the slave trade, the UK took out the largest loan in its history. And this particular loan we did not pay off until 2015. This means that I, the descendant of enslaved peoples taken to Brazil and the Caribbean, and the descendant of colonized peoples of Ghana through taxation myself, paid towards the slave owners and not the enslaved. So, the united front that we speak of today should include the diaspora, and I would remind those who are representing Commonwealth nations here today that citizens of your countries studying, working or living in the UK currently have the right to vote in UK general elections. They could be instrumental in shaping the policy that we hope to create, and we hope that when the time comes we are able to call on them to push their elected representatives. Other than moral arguments for reparations, I often have to make those to my colleagues at home that do not accept the moral arguments. I have to make economic ones to them. I have to show them that African, Caribbean countries are continuously rising, that global power structures are shifting, African economies are rising not because of anything that the West has given them, but because of in spite of what it has done to them. And a few years ago, my country committed what I call a monumental act of self-harm. We underwent Brexit. And meanwhile, whilst we left our largest trading partner...
Now I know y'all heard that. 1 minute she's from Brazil, she's from the Caribbean, next minute she's from Britain. Which one is it, hun? And I don't like that little thing talking about the whips and the metal shackles. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like her.
We see the economies in African and Caribbean strengthening their links. Now, Rule Britannia no longer rules the waves, and whilst we in my country will never be slaves, we have to understand that nobody else is going to be a slave again either. And in our increasingly globalized world, we need friends, and true friends can only be brought out of equality. And we cannot reach that equality until we repair the harm that is done. So when people say to me that it is radical to ask for reparations, I say to them it was once radical in my country that a woman could even vote, that a black person could even be a member of parliament. Yet here I am, and I can speak from the same building on those green benches that once decreed that people that look like me and you would be owned as chattel, and I can call for reparative justice. So the struggles of today are actually just a mark of our progress tomorrow. But above all, at this conference, I'm here to listen and learn. And whilst I am a daughter of Ghana, I am a British politician. The policy on reparations will be made in Parliament like mine, but I do not believe that Western countries should be dictating how and what is given in reparations. The injustice must stop now, and that means that reparations must be carried out on the terms of those who are most impacted. So it's very, very important, the meetings that you have today and the discussions that you have, because that is the only way that reparative justice can be true. And I'm often asked, when does reparative justice stop, or when do reparations stop? And I say that they stop when their repair is done. There are many different ways in which we can go about repair, and that repair will not end until we have the equality and the equity that peoples of African descent that have been denied for a millennia. Thank you very much for your attention.
That's called slick talk, fast talk. She just went everywhere. She from Ghana, Brazil, the Caribbean, and Britain all at the same time. She's mentioning people are still slaves. Well, yeah, they still slaves there. People still practice slavery in Africa. by their own people. Yeah, I don't really care for her too much because she doesn't know where she's from. Um, you know. But that's it for her. Let's get to the next one.
And now, our feature presentation.
All right, we're back. We have our feature presentation. But right now we're cutting off the ladies' night special. We have a man up here. He's about to give us a spoken word. Let's hear what he has to say. You know, artiste.
We will go. We will go. If we could chart memories' paths along the bloody froth of the Atlantic, I, the writer king who sips communion wine from the calabash, who was there in the beginning when he said, "Let there be light," would have taken all of you on a journey 400 times older than anything we know in the records of history. I did not come to recall the atrocities that made us cry on a Tuesday, such that we had the temerity to bury our heroes on the day when the Creator rested. Mother. Mother has been raped too many times. Mother's name has been discarded too many times, taken with too many tongues that is not even fit to be mentioned anymore at home. And we, her children, royals who are supposed to ride the best of steeds now, have been used as mops in the faces of all the worlds. But keep calm, my neighbors. Keep calm, my friends. Cry softly. And when you step me, earth receive you very gently, for the dawn is here. When a warrior is sure of his footing, he taps, and then he calls the world to bring on its west, for he is ready to take it all up in a single fight. We observed how virgins were broken at noon and sons were born at night, such that all our strengths were rendered impotent. However, Mother says, my children did not come out of my sides. My children came from my heart. And so, just like this was the gateway where most of them were shipped, canned, pushed, kicked out, it is only meet that the same paths through which the hunter was kicked out of the village, when he has found bountiful game, be brought back in like manner. So welcome to the center, Sandazua. Welcome in whichever language you choose to understand best, and note that your seat was meant for you, and it is no accident that we are here in this moment in time.
Okay, I don't think I'm this deep. But I'm thinking he's talking about Africa. He's giving homage to Africa. And I don't I don't feel it. I don't. But let's keep going.
I'm simply a child learning the ropes of the world and the ways of my people. I grew up in Ghana. I know no colonial master will never know, and I will hand over a free nation to my ancestors. And so, we who are free must know that there was a price of freedom, a price that really we did not have to pay. For who decides who is free and who is not, and who decides to impose his will on another and brandish him with his own beautiful tattoos. Beautiful tattoos indeed, when our minds have been seared. Wipe your tears. Wipe your tears from your elbow, for thoughts trickle down the mind, down the chin, down the elbow, then it only becomes a matter of the tongue. Tears are tasty. Tears are tasty, but they do not betray the emotions that evoke them. And so tears are tasty when we are happy. Tears are tasty when we are sad. Tears are tasty when we are embarrassed, but tears are tasty now that victory is here. Tears taste sweet. Is the world ready for us? Where do we go from here? It is beautiful to see that the front is united. Divided we stand, united we stand, and we call for justice now. It simply means that if all the center is folded up, how does it hold? And so Adinkra is the crown of it all, in the orbit of all of life, in the beginning, where the Creator chose to place humanity, save some dignity, and serve to the rest of the world. We went out there and gave them the tips which they made into beautiful tips, spikes with which to dig all our wealth and all our self-worth and confidence. Finally, we have found it. For truly, our paths to God, for truly, our paths into the future lie within us, and it takes fantastic leadership to hold the torch and lead the way. For all of us cannot walk that straight.
I'm starting not to like it. I am starting not to like this. They saying they taking over reparations. That's what it sounds like to me.
Path riddled with dew at dawn, and so let the elders take the lead. Let the children follow suit. For the child is nothing, it is only the glory of his forebears that the world sees and tolerates in him. However, it is time that in rewriting our stories, we let the world know that we are a people proud of our many tongues that we speak, that they do not divide us, that even in a choir there are different parts to the song, that even when you cook, you bring in different ingredients. And that is the beauty of Africa. For when our walk confused them, they chose to call it dance. When our tongues confused them, they chose to call it holy languages. Whichever way it is, we called fire and it came down. Fire that did not consume anybody in the flesh, but fire that consumes our very essence. We never lost it. We never lost our souls. We never lost our essence. We never lost touch with the earth. Ago. Ago. Every man owes some debt, be it a deficit of sleep, be it a deficit of learning, but be it a deficit of truth, for the truth is one. It is just that there are so many ways of telling the truth, and the truth is not as important as the telling it is given. However, this time round, let us not add any coated spices to it. What is good is not good. What is good then is good. And so he to him what is good is not good. My elders, kindly offer him a little alligator pepper. Let him sniff it and see how he likes it. Can we have a rewriting of history? I'm not here to teach a lesson. I am only a child learning the ropes of the world. And so, I have come to learn and know that only a foolish son will point to his father's house with the left finger, and a foolish daughter in that wise will think herself old enough to teach her own mother how to bear children. And so please, I am so proud of Africa with all our potholes. I'm so proud of Africa, of our gutters we're still cleaning. I'm so proud of Africa with my beautiful skin I have to show. I'm so proud of Africa if I have to trek 20 kilometers to new ideas. I am so proud of home. Home. There is no place like home. Home, sweet home. Africa is my home. There is no place like Africa. And so next, when you take a man's name, make sure you take it with some honor. When they take our names, they should take it with some honor. You see how they struggle to take our names because our names are heavy, not only on the tongues, but also on the consciences. It haunts their dreams so much that they are not bold enough to admit it, my brothers and my sisters. A good matter is short. A good matter remains short. A good matter will still be short. Welcome to the crossroads of dreams. Welcome to the place where we have decided that we are this warrior who is sure of his footing. And so whichever way we come, from the four winds and the seven seas, the place where earth and sea and sky meet to share gossip, and we have conferred, our word is one. The truth says, give back unto Africa what belongs to Africa. As you would pay to Caesar his due, you would pay to whoever their due. Give to us what is truly ours. Do not call us by names, for we are not bywords amongst our people. We are this river of life, still passing, like my words which fleet, and all the world will drink and learn wisdom. I could keep this conversation for 32 stanzas, my elders, but I believe there are urgent matters that I have to sit and learn at your feet. If my message is well delivered, would you excuse me for a few minutes? I will be back.
That was dumb, just like his face. It's a few things that First of all, he said they want to rewrite history. You're not about to rewrite history. It's in the books. You sold us. Like, you're not. Why would you rewrite history? You're going to hide the truth. You hiding the truth of rewriting it. Then you said something about our names. We're proud of our names. Black Americans are proud of their names. I wish I could just say my name now. But we proud of our names. You think that we don't have, they think that we're insecure. You heard the clapping in the back? They think that we insecure because our names are different. Then they said bring back what's rightfully owned to Africa. So you want us to forget everything that we built over here and just go to Africa, to a foreign land we know nothing about. I didn't like that at all. I don't like your stupid face. I don't like it. Boo. Let's go ahead and continue with Ladies' Night and hear what the other speakers have to say. Okay, so we have our next speaker up. She's from CARICOM. She's from the Caribbean. She isn't in attendance, so she will be live streaming from wherever she's from. So let's go ahead, check her out, and see what she's talking about.
Excellencies, distinguished participants and guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to join the Accra Reparations Conference and bring warm and fraternal greetings from the Caribbean community through this message. This is an important gathering of policymakers, reparations advocates, experts, and civil society activists from Africa, CARICOM, and the wider African diaspora to advance the agenda for reparatory justice. CARICOM heads of government took the historic decision in 2013 the transatlantic trade in enslaved Africans and chattel enslavement in the region. This decision by CARICOM laid the foundation for the rebirth of a global movement for reparatory justice, which has been championed by the strong and focused advocacy of the CARICOM Reparations Commission, chaired by Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, respected Caribbean historian and global thought leader on the imperative to pursue reparations. In CARICOM, our member state, Haiti, was forced to pay for its freedom twice. First, through the successful slave resistance and rebellion, which created the first free republic in the Western Hemisphere in 1804, and the second time, through the ignominy of being forced to borrow significant monies from French and American banks to pay reparations to former slave owners for loss of property, being the very former slaves who had already won their freedom in the Haitian Revolution, and repaying this debt well into the 20th century. The crimes committed against humanity are indisputable, and the debt has not been paid for systemic exploitation, extraction of wealth, pain and suffering, apartheid, Jim Crow, and psychological harm, leading to persistent poverty among African-descended people across the globe, and the genocide of native peoples which accompanied colonization. To address this cruel history, the descendants of the victims are due just restitution, compensation, and guarantees of non-repetition. Reparatory justice for the Caribbean community is a priority for our heads of government, who agree that collaboration with Africa on reparations is critical to moving this agenda forward. They have expressed their full support for the convening of the Accra Reparations Conference as a strategic and prime opportunity to forge a common, collaborative agenda between the Caribbean and Africa on reparations. It is in this context that we welcome the update that the African Union is also seeking to develop a common position on reparations and a roadmap for future collaboration with the African diaspora on reparatory justice. The Accra Reparations Conference is, therefore, timely to facilitate dialogue on the reparations agenda. Recent meetings of our heads of government have tabled important proposals for cooperation with the African Union on reparations. They would welcome collaboration to co-sponsor a resolution on reparations at the United Nations to signal our joint commitment and our position that reparatory justice ought to receive due consideration by the United Nations. CARICOM heads of government propose to seek an advisory opinion from the International Court of Justice through the United Nations General Assembly. We invite the African Union to join us in this campaign. We are also working to have reparations included on the agenda of key meetings of intergovernmental bodies. We hope that we can establish appropriate mechanisms to facilitate cooperation on reparations between CARICOM and Africa, including the proposed joint CARICOM-African Union Committee of Legal Experts. CARICOM welcomes the establishment and the excellent advocacy, consultative, and research initiatives of the UN Permanent Forum on People of African Descent and looks forward to deepening collaboration with this body, which includes 2 distinguished CARICOM representatives. CARICOM Africa cooperation has increased in several...
I just wanted to pause right here right quick before she continues. Shout out to Callie House. Shout out to Callie House. In the 1800s, she was making a way for reparations. Yeah. With that being said, when CARICOM was having their discussion and we're asking them, like, would you include Black Americans? They said no. Why is that? Now they over here with Africa. Interesting.
Areas following the first CARICOM Africa Summit of Heads of Government held in September 2021. Afro-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forums have been held in Barbados and Guyana in 2022 and 2023, respectively. The African Union ECOSOC Study Tour on Reparations was held in Barbados in July 2023. The Caribbean community has also participated in the Reparations and Racial Healing Summit in August 2022 in Ghana and welcomes the increased focus on the return of stolen cultural property to both the Caribbean and Africa. I would like to pay special tribute to our host, the government of Ghana, and especially to President Akufo-Addo for his leadership, powerful advocacy, and commitment to the cause of reparatory justice for our respective peoples. Mr. President, your public expressions of support, solidarity, and vision are highly valued by CARICOM. I am confident that the Accra Reparations Conference will be a success under your leadership. Excellencies, distinguished participants, we are at an important inflection point in the global movement for reparatory justice, arguably one of the most important human rights movements of our time. There have been important developments, such as the recent apologies from the government of the Netherlands, the Church of England, and prominent families in the United Kingdom, and the establishment of funding mechanisms for repair programs. We now have legal luminaries, economists, and other experts undertaking the important work of costing the damage and further mapping out the compelling case we have for reparatory justice. It is therefore critical that we seize the moment and ensure that CARICOM, Africa, and others from the diaspora speak with one voice to advance the just and strong call for reparations for the crimes against humanity of native genocide, the transatlantic trade in enslaved Africans and chattel enslavement, all of which were core aspects of European colonization, which resulted in deeply embedded and continuing structures of racism and discrimination. I wish you all a successful conference and look forward to fruitful outcomes from your deliberations. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
The Secretary General.
Yeah, and like, I see why. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, we should be included in y'all stuff. But when this asked, it was like a little snobby attitude. Like, no, we're not going to include the Black Americans. Like, okay. And it's like, okay, so now you want the president of Ghana to be the face of reparations. And it's like this. Why do y'all not say anything about the participation? I have yet to hear it, and we are almost done with this program. Yep, so let's get to the next speaker. Okay, we're on the last speaker here for Ladies' Night. But, this is going to be the last speaker for this video here. I'm not sure where she's from. So let's see what she's talking about here.
Nyasigbe, President of the Republic of Togo, would have liked to come to Accra, but he has been impeded at the last moment. he has asked me to convey his apologies to you. It is now my duty to deliver his message, and I quote him. My speech before you today is in line with a broader speech or narrative which constitutes the background to the history of our continent, a history of struggles and tribulations, of successes and resilience. The issue of quest for reparations for historical crimes committed against the people of Africa, which we are calling for today, is not only a quest for financial compensation. It is a journey over time reflecting the aspirations and experiences of an entire continent and its diaspora. Our journey should start with an examination, a retrospective examination of the crimes committed against the people of Africa during the slavery period and colonization. The roots of reparations, reparatory justice is founded in the atrocities committed against our ancestors. The transatlantic slavery is one of the chapters, dark chapters of human history, with millions of Africans that have been taken by force from their native lands, subjected to unimaginable sufferance and put under slavery. The psychological trauma inflicted on these people continue to mark several generations and affect our collective consciousness. Colonialism, with its arbitrary borders and economic exploitation, has strengthened the racial hierarchies and sowed seeds of discord which persist today. The scars of exploitation and dispossession and cultural slavery persist and are marked by economic inequality, cultural disintegration. African Union, recognizing the burden of historical injustice, is ready to be at the forefront of the quest for reparatory justice. Through these institutions, the African Union has provided a platform for member states to confront collectively the colonial heritage. Our council, as a body of the African Union, symbolizes the commitment of to promote dialogue, collaboration, and a collective vision for reparations. The efforts within the African Union are not limited to practical initiatives, but also the agenda of African Union for 2026 is an integrated African vision to have an Africa that is prosperous, peaceful, and is articulated around the aspirations of the continent for a future devoid of the shadows of the past. The African Union actually confirms this approach for justice that goes beyond the national borders and requires accountability for crimes of the history. The aspirations of African people, the context of reparations, goes beyond the simple financial reparation. The reparations for the African continent symbolize the desire for complete reparations for all the wrongs. It's a call for restoration of dignity, to recognition of cultural heritage, and empowerment of people whose history has been characterized by struggle and resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, on the political front, reparations require a reevaluation of...
Do he got an earpiece in? Do he understand what she's saying? Okay, let me go ahead. She kind of dragging on. We'll finish it up, though.
Power dynamics on the global scene. It's a call to dismantle the structures that perpetuate representation and unequal decision making. We have to guarantee that African nations have an equitable voice in the formulation of national policies that have an impact on their future. On the cultural front, reparations also imply the preservation and revitalization of traditions, languages, and traditional knowledge systems eroded by centuries of external interference. This is a commitment to guarantee that the wealth and cultural diversity of Africa are not lost in the annals of history, but also recognized and celebrated by future generations. On the economic front, reparations involve dealing with systemic inequalities perpetuated by centuries of exploitation. It's a call to restructure the global economic systems that have always marginalized Africa. The realization of economic reparations mean empowering African nations to chart their own path towards development, free from the burdensome heritage imposed by economic structures. On the social front, reparations also mean dealing with the deep-seated wounds inflicted by historic crimes. It is a commitment to heal the psychological trauma that is carried by African generations and the diaspora. Beyond the monetary compensation, reparations also aim at ensuring a feeling of identity, pride, and collective objective. In short, a reconquest of Africa based on narratives that have often been distorted by the authors of these crimes, historic crimes. Ladies and gentlemen, in a world that is shaped by geopolitical considerations, our contemporary narrative on reparations should look to establishing a delicate balance between pragmatism and idealism. It should go beyond the framework of policies to establish a linkage with civil society, scientific circles, and popular movements. The reluctance of some nations to recognize the gravity of historical crimes underscore further the need to have qualified approaches that will fill the gaps of understanding and cultivate a shared commitment for justice. The challenges are many, both within institutional circles and civil society. Within the institutional context, subtleties in the international relations and power balance complicate the quest for reparations as a political priority. Civil society, even though it's unavoidable, is faced with the task of mobilizing public opinion and also ensure a collective conscience that go beyond national borders. The bureaucratic obstacles and legal complexities related to the reparation program underscore the need to have complete frameworks that deal with the multifaceted nature of historical injustice. Turning on to the international scene, we find sources of inspiration and narratives that warn us about various programs about reparations. Our quest for justice is based on a common commitment to ensure that we fight against the injustices. We share a common history of displacement, exploitation, and resilience. The quest for reparations goes beyond the geographical frontiers. It's a global movement that is rooted in the knowledge of a shared history and interconnected history. The efforts that aim to mobilize global public opinion in favor of reparations for the people of African descent requires a multi-dimensional approach. Your Excellency President Nana Akufo-Addo, ladies and gentlemen, to conclude, I'd like to say that the call for reparations is a great call to deal with the complexities of history with courage, with compassion, and a relentless commitment for justice. Togo, which echoes the position of the African Union and partner nations, is ready to deal with the complexities of this transformationary journey. In this quest for reparative justice, we have to draw from the strength in our common history to honor courage and resilience of our people, and also construct a future where justice is not only a concept but a living reality. It's a future for where the heritage of colonialism is confronted with courage. It is a future where reparative justice is primordial and gives promise for a world that is just and equitable. I thank you for your kind attention, and I wish you success at this Accra International Conference on Reparation. Thank you.
Ooh, that was a lot. I'm noticing that it's a global affair here. Yep. One thing I noticed about them is they love to travel aboard and globalists and all that other stuff. I don't think this will work as far as that because you can't get reparations based on race. But yeah, that was a lot to take in. I know she wrote that. But yep, that's our last speaker for today. And hopefully we'll be done with this pretty soon. We at the last hour, so yeah, we should be done with this soon. So that was Ladies' Night. I hope everybody have a good one.